technology is what makes our lives better. And as a techie, and as a knowledge management person, this is kind of one of those videos where I was like, I'm going to nerd out with you and share with you what computers that I have. Right out the bat, I just wanted to mention this is not me bragging by any means, and I want to know, just like mention, like I get that it's a privilege that I have this opportunity to have these devices and be able to use them. Now, granted, I bartered to get most of them actually, and I've gotten a way to get some of these through just different means too, and I'll explain how I got them and what I want to use these for. So this video is about just what computers do I have, and I figured if you're watching me on this channel, you're probably watching because of the knowledge management aspect, and I have a lot of really cool ideas that are connected to my knowledge management systems through these computers. And I was like, okay, let me just explain this a little bit. And considering the fact that I use Obsidian and the Obsidian Sync does not work for me, having a portable system is actually very important, because then I can have like my database with me everywhere I go. And so that's one thing I want to mention too. Like that's why I have gotten some of these devices as kind of like the portability in mind. And I've talked about digital minimalism and downsizing my tech. So while I have a range of devices here, I am trying to downsize, and I would like to have multiple computers, PCs, I mean, in order to enact more crazy things I could do with technology, but not necessarily all at the same time. Maybe I digress. So I have my Sigmatech Aquila, which is my main computer. I'm going to pull it up here, actually, I think. No, because I don't think I have it set up. Maybe I'll just put it up over here. I'm not planning on editing this video, but maybe I can just put it up here. And maybe not. I really don't want to edit this video. I really just want to kind of just be raw with you and just show you what I have. So my main desktop is right behind the camera there. I can't really pull it out. I was using the Herc Orion Mega, which is a mini PC I got from the Herc company, and I paid for it myself. I got it from their Kickstarter, and basically I got it because of the capacity it has. It had like tons of storage and tons of RAM, but also plenty of USB ports. Ironically, that's one reason that I had issues with it. But the device itself was about 2 Lunchables thick, very small, like about that big and about that thick, and basically like a Mac Mini now. But it came out before that, and I replaced my old desktop, which is about this big. Now, mind you, even my desktop is pretty small compared to what most computers are for most people when it comes to like actual built computers. But today I'm actually going to show you all of my mini PCs that I've accumulated or acquired. And let me just start off with Herc. Basically, the reason why I acquired this PC is that I reached out to Herc after owning my computer from them for a while. I was like, hey, I want to make some content for you. And ironically, I've barely made any content about this or the other product they sent me because I physically couldn't because of the computer. So I'll get to that in a second. But they sent me this Herc Pulsar unit, and I still want to make some videos about it in the future, especially maybe using like the Xbox full screen experience, or they wanted me to do some gaming on it. But I think that like the actual BIOS and all that stuff that needed to be updated, they didn't send it to me often enough. Basically, this is it's a Ryzen 7 5000 series. I don't remember what the graphics are, actually top of my head, but it was weaker than the one I had, and it has a decent amount of USB ports on the back. I could technically use this as a daily driver, and especially since I don't think I'm actually getting my computer back from Herc. And that's a whole other story. I'll probably make a video and or blog post about my experience with Herc. That's the brand right there, Herc. It was a pretty nice computer that I got in, and I've only turned this on a few times actually to try to make a video about it. I was trying to keep it as default as possible so I could make content about it, but now that it's been a while, I might actually wipe it and put Windows on it. Because right now it has Ubuntu, and so I haven't actually used this, but this could be a daily driver for me in the future, especially if I want to downsize from that monstrosity behind my desk. And I keep saying monstrosity. It's the Sigmatech Aquila case, and it's actually a pretty nice case. It's horizontal. It has handlebars. It is a big enough case to have a 200mm fan in the front. Actually, I think it might be 230mm. Like I went all out with this case, but it's still too big for my case, for my sake. And if this video seems a little bit off, I'm sorry. Like I'm kind of jumbled a little bit. I wanted to go in without kind of a plan. I just wanted to share with you like just raw what my thoughts are. And this is like me just nerding out with you. Okay. So the point I was trying to make is that case was great. The system itself was not that great. That I wanted to have a more powerful system. I made it back in 2017. It was time for me to upgrade a long time ago. And then so last year when I got that Herc Orion Mega, it was a significant upgrade. It's like 7 times newer. It had double the RAM and double the speed of the RAM. It had about the same storage, but the storage was like going from 3.0 speeds up to like 5.0 speeds. It was crazy of a jump. And then on top of that, the actual CPU and GPU were about equivalent, if not better, than my old PC. Actually, the GPU was slightly worse than my old one because I had the RX 580, I think it was, 8 gig. But I went to an iGPU, which was like the 780M, which was the best one at the time I could get. And because all of them had the same iGPU, but it was 7 times newer, and so the software drivers were just way better. And then the actual the CPU was a lot newer, same cores and I think speeds, but way better, way more efficient. And then over the year I had the fan curves just go like crazy. Every time I turned on the PC, the fan would just blow like crazy, like full speed. Anytime I used it for any intensive purpose, like gaming, or let alone like even just recording sometimes, or even like using too much Google Chrome tabs, it would just blast. And it just made no sense. And it was so loud too, to the point where you could hear it in the recording loud. And my mic's all the way over here. By the way, if you see in my videos how these mic positions keep changing, it's because this freaking arm is broken. If I push it down a little bit, it'll fall down. Stupid Fine mic arm. I need to switch it back to the old mic arm, I think, or something like that. But that's why it's covering my face and all that, or a little bit. And then they sent me this and an external graphics card to review. But the other major issue with that Herc Orion Mega was that the USB-C ports would break. So I would have my camera, which is the Elgato Facecam Pro, plugged into the USB-C port in the back, and then anytime I plugged anything to the front, whether it was an external monitor, another camera, even just like my light, right, it would just turn off those USB-C ports down to like 2.0 speeds. It would basically just make it the default USB, bare minimum. Like it just kept saying it was USB-C, it's just USB 2.0, and it 3.0 was required to use this device. And basically, as soon as that happened, I couldn't get rid of it. I couldn't fix it. And resetting the drivers half the time didn't even help. It happened to me 3 times. I can remember like specifically where it just like broke those drivers. And the first time, I think I was able to just like uninstall it fully and reinstall it, and it sort of fixed it. But I couldn't actually like plug my camera back in for a while. It would only work with new devices. Weird. And then the second and third time, I basically had to do like a full like Windows reset. Because I think the second time it happened right before my computer died. Basically, a Windows update bricked that computer in December last year, and I almost lost all my data. So that was another major issue, and that presumably was happening because of the compatibility between Windows Update and that computer. Now, granted, I wasn't the only one that had that happen to at that update, but the fact that that happened on that computer was pretty important to note. And so I had a lot of issues with that computer, and because the USB-C ports weren't working, I couldn't actually plug in my graphics card and the camera at the same time to make a video about it. And then I even couldn't plug in my capture card to make a video about this. And on top of that, communicating with this company was horrible. They take 2 to 3 weeks to reply every single time, and they literally sent me the computer and the graphics card with no warning. They literally said like a week before, hey, we sent you a package. No warning about what's in the package, no warning that they're actually going to send it in the first place. Hey, is this something you would want to do? I mentioned months prior that I wanted to work with them, but they're like, we'll see. And that was it. And then randomly they sent a message saying like, we sent you a package. And then I asked, what is this for? Like, do you want me to do something about it? I thought it was kind of like a mistake. I thought they meant to send it to like ETA Prime or something like that, which they did actually, I think. But I thought like they sent it to me by mistake because I'm a small YouTuber. And then they finally was like, no, we wanted to send to you. We wanted you to make videos about it. And then they didn't reply back like what kind of videos, how strict do you want me to be? Like if they send it to me, I want to make sure I didn't necessarily pay me to do it or something like that. And I would give my full feedback regardless. I'm always very honest with the audience here, but it was weird. And then so I've been sitting on this computer for a while, but since I didn't feel comfortable using this, I needed a daily driver when I sent that computer back. And this old computer was actually kind of somewhat taken apart. So what I ended up doing was I used this Intel NUC. I traded this with my uncle for a gimbal. Like I gave him my DJI gimbal for this Intel NUC. I think it's an i5. It's not super strong, but I put Zorin OS Linux on here. I think I put a little bit of Windows, but Windows on this old PC probably wouldn't run as well. And so Zorin OS was actually really good. And I started daily driving Zorin again. I always kind of wanted to leave Windows because Windows is pretty bad, especially when it comes to all the background tasks they have, which is one reason why I'm excited for Xbox full screen experience, because I think it's going to be things a lot better for like little mini gaming PCs. But yeah, so there's a lot of cool things I can do with this. And I have a plan maybe using like Docker and Home Assistant and having like maybe Zorin OS with a RSS Docker and then like a feed RSS reader feed Docker, and then a Home Assistant OS Docker, and then maybe like a Docker for like Obsidian Sync too. Like having all 3 Dockers on a little device like this. Or I don't know if this is gonna be powerful enough, but I have the Intel Compute Stick. Now I traded an old graphics card. I definitely made a dumb deal in there. I traded him a really good graphics card for this little mini PC that's not that powerful. But look how small this is. This is tiny. So actually what I did was I put Zorin OS Lite on this one, and that because like Windows was killing this little thing. This does not have the processing power for Windows, even Windows 10, let alone like a Windows S or whatever. And so like this little device is not that powerful, but Zorin OS Lite did really great on here. You can actually use it And I thought, like, this is small enough you could probably put it in your bag, and if you ever go on a trip and you don't have a tablet or a computer with you, you could have this as a backup, and this would be a great way to actually get stuff done if you have to. I literally have it in this little case here, and basically what I have in here is the power brick that comes with it, which I probably would replace this with like an actual GAN charger or something like that, but this is also kind of like a little hub. And then I have the Home Assistant Voice PE device that I still need to set up, but mainly because I didn't have Home Assistant OS set up yet. And then I basically have this all together, so I thought this would be a great way to have Home Assistant in a very minimal factor. And so what I did recently was install Home Assistant OS just directly on here, no Docker. And the problem is there's no Ethernet port, which was difficult to figure out. And so I actually had to go into the command line and add my Wi-Fi by hand. And that's what's on here right now. But I think I might just put Zorin back on here and use it as a little mini PC. This is really nice. And then, so at this point, I have the Herc Pulsar. I do not have the Orion anymore, and I don't think I'm going to get it back because they've not responded back to me more than once since I sent it back months ago. I have the Intel NUC, Intel Compute Stick, and recently, and some people, really flamed me on my gaming channel about this because I made a video about how I traded my Xbox Series X for the Lenovo Legion Go. The first one. Now look how thin that is, right? This is a full-fledged Windows PC, even more than a Steam Deck, which is running on Linux. You can take this off like the Joy-Cons on the Switch, and now you have a little tablet mini PC from Windows. Not from Windows, but Windows mini PC. And that is like an insane compact size. And compared to my, PC that I sent off, I think that the CPU is actually better on here, but there was a lot more RAM and a lot more storage on that mini PC. Well, 3 terabytes on there, 1 terabyte on here. But the RAM on here is like 7,000 megahertz, whereas the mini PC was like 6,400. So it was actually a lot better on here anyways, but it's 16 gigs, so it's not that much. And then the GPU is actually better on here. So theoretically, this tablet is better than the mini PC I sent off. And the problem is it only has 2 USB-C 4 ports, but you can use a dock. And then on here, I'm not too worried about the actual USB-C ports breaking, unlike that first generation product. And so I have the Lenovo Legion Go, Herc Pulsar, Intel NUC, Compute Stick, and my old desktop that I built that I'm hopefully going to sell or trade at some point here soon. So I want to downsize. I have too many computers, and that's okay. I'm not complaining. Like I said, I'm grateful that I have the privilege to be able to do this. But I wanted to share my nerdiness with you here today, and I figured, these are unique products. All of these computers are unique. Most people know about the Intel NUC, but most people don't know about the rest of these products. I mean, even the Legion Go, unless you're a gamer and wanting an alternative to the Steam Deck, you probably don't know about it. And so I thought about, there's unique ways I want to use this. So I'm going to wrap up this video here in a second. But what I want to do beforehand was just explain what I want to do with these computers. And so the Lenovo Legion Go is my gaming PC at this point. And I find that I still haven't gamed a whole lot on it, and I need to probably get Skyrim working, so I tried modding it and it didn't work. My load order is fine, and all the mods should be pretty minimal, but for some reason it doesn't want to launch at all. So I'm going to get that working. So I think I'll actually sit down and play Skyrim again, just in a casual setting, and then I could plug it into the TV and have it that way too. And since these are detachable Joy-Con controllers, essentially, I can just play with these, which I love that idea. It sounds so cozy to me. I think at some point, I might turn this either into my daily driver PC, since I'm not getting my Orion back, or I might use it as like a, living room HTPC, like I was trying to do with the Legion Go, and just put Skyrim on here. It's not going to be as good as the Legion Go, but it should still be pretty decent. This has USB-C ports, but they're not, I think they're 3.2, they're not 4.0, so I can't use the external graphics card. However, I can use the external graphics card, the Booster 01 eGPU from Herc, with the Legion Go. And I might still be able to make a video about that and kind of, settle my debts, if you will. And then the Intel NUC, I think I'm just going to keep either as a backup PC, which I'll probably just do regardless, but I might use this, like I said, for a Docker system and just put some lightweight Linux on there, like a light Zorin or something like that. I like Zorin. Even though Zorin is not as lightweight as Mint or Ubuntu, I think Zorin is what I'm comfortable with. I'll probably just use that. And then just put a couple Docker stuff on here and use this as a way to sync my Obsidian Vault across these devices. Or I could just put my Obsidian Vault on one like the Intel Compute Stick and use that as like a cloud, access. That's kind of a cool idea. And then you can use this as a point of entry. Like if I have my Obsidian loading on a drive that I can access anywhere, use this as a point of entry to access it. I think it's just so cool. Like this little device, even though it's not that powerful, and there's not really any device that has replaced it either. I think Minimalism has tried, but not really. I just think it's so interesting how convenient and useful this full-fledged Windows PC could be. And so really at this point, there's nothing more to add. I just really hope that you nerded out with me a little bit and you're able to enjoy me getting kind of nerdy about it. I mean, I traded a graphics card for this computer. I traded a DJI gimbal for this computer. I got this as a review product to keep, but also make a some videos about an Illumination Go I traded my Xbox for. So pretty much all these computers I bartered to get. And so that's crazy to me that like you can do that nowadays. So keep an eye out on Visit Marketplace deals. You could probably get a cool deal yourself. Please leave a comment down below if anything really struck your eye and you want to nerd out about. Thanks.